All right. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? My name is Fizzer. I am here to talk some Warzone today. Let's just turn that music down a little bit. I think it's a little too loud. So how y'all doing? I hope you're all having a good Wednesday, a good week. We're going to be talking some Warzone today. We're going to be talking some update stuff. There's a whole new update that just came out recently. We're going to be going over everything that's new. I'm going to be answering questions from the community. We have a bunch of questions that were pre-asked in this thread. Also, if anyone has any questions and you're here today, feel free to drop them in Twitch chat. I am welcome to answer any questions you guys have. We'll get to the questions in a second. But before I start, I'll just say who I am and what I do a little bit. So I go by the online name of Fizzer. I make this game Warzone. I've been making this game since 2008. It's just me. I don't have any employees. And it has been my full-time job since 2010, and I hope to continue working on this game the rest of my life. So, hope you're all doing well. The first question is from Gunk, who says, a month or so ago, the ads for Idle changed to multi-click, minute-long ones. Before that, they were shorter, like 5 to 30 seconds, sometimes 60 seconds. I'm assuming this is increased game revenue. So this is news to me. I have not heard of this change. It's definitely not a change I did anything intentionally for. So the ads are offered by Google. Google has full control over the ads. And they do, you notice a trend over the past years is Google has been showing longer and longer ads, but I don't know if that's something that they intentionally changed or if that's just something that got targeted to you. Given that I've only heard about that from you, my inclination would be that it's maybe something that's not affecting everybody, but just affecting you. Unfortunately, I don't really have control over that. So my involvement with the ads is I just say, hey, Google, show an ad right now. The only thing I can control is it an interstitial ad or is it a rewarded ad? And so like if you're spinning the Warzone wheel, you're doing a rewarded ad. If you're just starting a single player Warzone Classic game, you're doing an interstitial. Other than that, the length of the ad is entirely controlled by Google. The only thing I offer is, of course, Warzone does offer the ability to turn off ads if you're willing to pay. That's kind of the model we have now, is you can either pay to see no ads or you can have to endure the ads if you like playing for free. That's about that. So let's get into the update. So just a few days ago, we had version 5.42. This update has stuff that I don't know if a lot of you guys are going to find super exciting, but it's some very important stuff that has to get done. There's some exciting stuff in there too. But like the big thing is that we're going to be talking about is the onboarding tab. I don't think anyone here is super excited about that, but it is something that I think has to get done. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But Google used to say don't be evil, but they dropped that slogan because they realized they were evil all along. Rather than stopping being evil, they decided being evil was okay according to them. Yeah. I was also pretty upset when they dropped that slogan. I was like, what? You're just saying it's okay to be evil now? Like, what? They should have just kept it in the background or something. Anyway, let's get into the update. So the first thing let's talk about I renamed a couple templates, and this is actually done specifically because the strategic 1v1 template is going to be more visible because of the onboarding tab, but there is a template called the strategic 1v1 template. This is a template I made way back in 2009. I actually had to look that up. And you all probably know this template. This is the template used on the 1v1 ladder. So if we go to ladders, 1v1 ladder, the 1v1 ladder. So the strategic 1v1 template. This is what it looks like today. This is not what it always looked like. It has evolved quite a bit over the years. But way back in 2009, there were very few, if any, templates designed for 1v1. The game only came into existence in 2008. Barely anybody was playing in 2009. So it was a very different time back then. And I said, you know what? We need a template for 1v1 that's specifically focused on strategy. And like one of the things that made it focused on strategy was it used a lower luck percentage. Back in 2009, most people played with 75% luck. I know it's pretty hard to believe now, but that was the default, and so that's what most people played with. And so I lowered it to 20%, I think, in the first version of the strategic 1v1 template. And I also tweaked some bonuses, overrode some bonuses, and did some other stuff to make the map more strategic. It was originally on the full Earth template, if you know the template called Earth. I don't even know if I can find it right now because it's probably not even on the first page. But yeah, back then there was a template called Earth, and not Medium Earth. It was before Medium Earth existed. There you go, Earth. I just saw it. This was the original template, the 1v1 ladder, the strategic 1v1 template used. Not really a great template for 1v1, to be honest, because like East Russia just has way too many territories. West Russia also, all the Russias have too many territories. South America also has way too many territories. It wasn't great, but it's what we had at the time. And then the strategic 1v1 template has evolved over the years. So the first thing that I changed was I reduced the luck from 20% to like, I think 16% or 18%, something like that. 20% was a mistake because 3 armies attacking 2 armies, we wanted that to always be successful. If that, at 20% luck, there was a very small chance that would fail, and that led to not ideal strategic play. So it was reduced, and then later on the order delay and order priority cards were added, and then the blockade card was added. It was changed to the medium earth map, and then it was later changed to the modified medium earth map, and then it was changed to this map, which is the modified medium earth board map, which is identical except it just looks nicer. How did you program the wiping away of sand for idle artifact digs? Also, when does the artifact get decided, at the start of the dig or at the end? It gets decided at the end of the dig. And the way the sand works is basically it just puts a pixel on every location on the artifact. And then as your finger touches the thing, it just adds velocity to each pixel. Just dropping in to say, I love Warzone. Thanks for making this and keep it alive. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoy the game and thank you for your kind words. Thanks for dropping by. So the strategic 1v1 template. So it was named strategic 1v1 because back in 2009, it was pretty much the only template designed for 1v1, and it was the only template designed to be strategic. The name is kind of silly today because there are thousands of 1v1 templates and thousands of strategic templates. And so I don't think the name is relevant today. So I decided to rename it to Medium Earth Traditional. And traditional just comes from the fact that it's a very old template. It's a very well-used template. Also, one of the things I want to ask you guys during the stream, do you think we should ever have setting changes to the strategic 1v1 or the now known as Medium Earth Traditional map template again? It's evolved quite a bit over the years, but I don't think it's changed in a meaningful way in like 9 years or something like that. I think it's probably time just to consider it locked, just because it is used on the 1v1 ladder, and the 1v1 ladder is has so many games played on it, and it's kind of like official, and like I think we should call this template done, and if we ever make changes, we should make a new template. Yes, by adding attack only and attack by percentage. That is one of the things that's up there. I think we should call it done, though. That's my opinion. Also, I renamed the strategic 2v2 for the same reason, and it's on the Final Earth map, so we just call it the Final Earth 2v2. So those settings I made to the actual templates, just name changes. And the reason that we changed the name is really for the onboarding tab. The onboarding tab, this is something that honestly should have been done like 10 years ago. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Honestly, part of the reason it took so long to get it done is because I wasn't sure the right way to approach the problem. So the point of the onboarding tab is just to help new players learn what Warzone has to offer. It'll show you like a series of steps, and then as you do each one, it'll put a little check mark in the box next to it so you know it's done. Just try to give new players like an overview of what's available. It's certainly not going to show off every feature. It would be overwhelming to show off every feature, but just to give the basics, the very basics. So there's the big problem Warzone has had for a long, long time is Warzone has so many features and so many different ways to play, and new players really are kind of left to figure all that out on their own. There is a tutorial. It's a very basic tutorial. It just teaches the basics about how to attack and capture territories and what bonuses are. And that's important. But then to get from there to everything else Warzone has, you kind of just left to fend for yourself and explore the menus and figure it out, which is not a great way. So the onboarding tab gives you a little bit of guidance. It has you do a basic tutorial. It has the basic tutorial in it, but then it also tells you to do quick match. It tells you a little bit about open games. It mentions things like diplomacy games and role-playing games. I know diplomacy and role-playing players will be excited to see that. It tells you that modded games exists, and it also has this view guide function. Click, which I should actually pull up the onboarding tab instead of just looking at the screenshot. Where is my standalone client? Here we go. Let's put this over here, close this, go to the onboarding tab. So these are like collapsible regions. Once you do it, it will be collapsed. So it tells you to try quick match. Quick match is the easiest way to get started in multiplayer games. There's this little guide that just tells you a little bit about open games. It tells you things like you should read the message from the host. And it tells you about what types of games you will find in the open games section, like team games, free-for-all games, modded games, diplomacy and role-playing games, lottery games. And it also mentions custom scenarios, and it tells you if there is a custom scenario, you should check it, because some people use that to cheat. Let me catch up on chat for a minute. Is there any way you could make a mega game where you can pick your slots? It would be very good for diplomacy games. If it's about XP, you can make them forced practice games. So it's not about XP. The reason that in mega games the slots are random is because some people want to create unfair games where they give themselves an advantage. So the question I would have for anyone that wants to pick their own slot in a mega custom scenario game is your scenario fun for all slots? If the answer is yes, then you shouldn't care what slot you get. If the answer is no, then you're really just trying to exploit people, and it's not going to be a fun game for most people. Is there an ETA for the Android update? Yes, it should be out soon. I've had a few problems with it. I've had to push like 4 different versions to the Google Play Store because of a variety of things. I just pushed a new version last night. It is currently at 20% rollout, which means 20% of Android players currently have the Android update. And I'll be updating that to 100% rollout should be today. So today it should go to everyone. And then iPhone will come after that. What is the tech stack keeping this game online? The mobile version does a great job of presenting an interface that is probably made specifically for the web. Is this wrapped in Capacitor.js or something similar? So it is made in Unity. I feel like Warzone has an old web sort of feel to it. And I really actively appreciate that. Yeah, so it's made in Unity. Unity is a 3D game engine. I will show off Unity real fast because I have it open right here. Oh, missed it. This is what Unity looks like. And then it is published to iPhone and Android through the Unity app, as well as Windows, Mac, and Linux from the Unity app. The web version is a JavaScript conversion of the Unity app. Will you consider adding a thing to the order list? We're considering adding a thing for the order list to the onboarding. I ran into a level 50 who didn't know how to change his picks. Oh, that's interesting. So it does cover that in the tutorial. And I know obviously not everyone's gonna miss things, of course, sometimes, but it does say something about that. It does say right here in this step, attacks do not happen immediately when you issue them. When you issue orders to troops, they are stored in the orders list on the right. Here you can find and modify your orders if you make a mistake. Now, obviously, not everyone's going to play the tutorial. Not everyone's going to remember that, but it is mentioned. And then you bring up a good point where some people don't know how to change picks. Some people just start over all the time. So, like, they make one mistake on their turn, and then they see the start over button. There's a start over button, a clear orders button that clears and starts over from scratch. They don't know how to go in the orders menu and edit it. Now, part of the reason for that is because on mobile it starts collapsed, and there's not much really calling you to this button right here. Some people will just never click it, or they'll click it when they have 0 orders, and they'll be like, oh, it's empty, and then they never click it again. You just put orders to 0. Yeah, putting orders to 0 is definitely an easier way of doing it, but that doesn't work for picks, which is the case JK specifically called out. Yeah, I'm not sure what the best way of solving this particular problem is. It's called out a little bit. It can certainly be called out better. Maybe guides will help with that. I'm not sure. I'd have to give that some more thought. What about Diplo Mega Games? You can do Diplo Mega Games, yes. There have been some, and now Mega Games do support mods, so you can add the diplomacy mods in there. Will one player just not join if they don't like the slots and are left like every other diplomacy game? Yeah, so the problem is that some players are smart enough to be able to read the custom scenario and interpret it and understand, is this a game I will enjoy? But when you're a new player, you don't know. So if you create a game where you're just trying to exploit people who don't know how to evaluate custom scenarios, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of people that are just have a bad experience. And so part of my goal as Warzone creator is to make sure everyone joining the game has a good experience. And so I don't want to create a situation where game creators are creating games that are just there to exploit people who don't know how to read settings. The real-time nudge button needs to be adjusted to allow for more frequent nudges, allow for manual newts, allow once per player per turn, allow as soon as the countdown timer begins. Yeah, I know we've talked about this before. I think the problem you're trying to solve is you have real-time games where people are getting booted, and that is a problem that needs to be addressed. I'm not sure what the right way of addressing that is. Some of your ideas might help, but I'm not sure. That is something that needs more research. Why is your Twitch on light mode? I think that's the default, and I just never changed it. How do you determine which maps will become a level in idle? So when I was building Warzone Idle, I basically just looked at the maps and picked ones that I thought were good maps. Picked ones that I thought were visually appealing, had good connections, and yeah, that's basically how I did it. How's married life treating you? Good. It is basically the same, honestly. Has not been too much different. So back to the onboarding tab. It also instructs you to create your own game, gives you a little guide on how to join a game by a code. So one of the easiest ways for players to get into a game with their friends is to create a game by code. I didn't actually know this was the guide. I don't know if this is the guide that makes the most sense to be under this header. I might want to rethink that. Now that I'm seeing it now, I don't know about that. It also tells you to try Warzone Idle. And then this is the part that's probably I'm most excited about with the onboarding tab. Join a strategic game. And this is more than just information. You can actually do things with these buttons right here that you could not do before this update existed. So if you click on the button called Play, Medium, or Traditional, this gets you to a new screen. This is a screen that never existed before. This is called the template screen. So there's actually a page now that just shows off a template. And it will show you a picture of the map, and it will show you a description that is in the template description. And then it has these 4 buttons right here, and these 4 buttons are new. These are things you could not do before. So one thing is you can click View Guide, and this is something, the guides kind of existed in the previous update, but ultimately this is probably going to be new to most of you people. And then it gives you an actual, I talked a lot about this in the previous stream, so I won't go over this part, but this just tells you step by step all of the rules, everything you need to know to play this template from scratch. If you are a brand new player and you read all these guides, you will literally know every rule to the entire game. And some of these are new in this update, like the transfer only card, or the transfer only mode. This is a new guide in this update. Blockade card, this is a new guide in this update. Order priority card, this is a new guide. Order delay card is a new guide. Those are the new guides. Can we get this for every template eventually? Yes, that is the plan. But right now it is only for a few templates. Also, just catch one question. So you aren't adding any new maps to Idle? Is not something I'm currently working on, no. Would it not make sense to have the various settings icons on a templates page? Yeah, I mean, I think that does make sense. I just didn't think of it. I could write that down. Settings, icons on template page. Would be cool to have all quick match multi-template ladders with a specific guide for the template. Yes, that is the goal. And that is something that is actually on my list for the next update, is to make more guides, to finish the rest of the guides, because right now all the guides are not yet done. You can actually see down here, there's a big list of all these guides, which they're kind of grayed out because they're not done yet. So you can see a bunch down here, like multi-attack and teams and diplomacy card and sanction card and army cap. All these kind of things don't have guides yet. But all the guides are done for the templates that are linked on the onboarding tab. So these 2 templates, the guides are complete for those. That's kind of was my first goal. So you can click view guides. If you're a brand new player and you read these guides, you should know enough to play the entire game. And I know some people like to learn this way. Other people like to learn just by playing the template. And that's fine. You can do whichever one you want. Personally, if I was a brand new player, I like being able to read the guides and know all the rules. I have met a lot of people. I play a lot of board games, and I have met people who are very smart. And if you tell them all the rules to the game, they will be competitive on like their very first game. That is a thing some people can do. So they now have that option. Read all the rules. You can also play practice against AI. And then you can come in here and you can just play a practice game. Now, obviously, the AI is not anywhere near as good as human player on a 1v1 template. You will probably wreck the AI. But at least you can experiment with the settings, get used to making attacks and stuff. If it's your first game, that might be useful to you. And there's this new button, Play in Quick Match. Now, this is a notable button because if you click this, it will start a quick match, real-time 1v1 game against a random opponent on just this template. Note that you can click this button even if you have not unlocked the template in Quick Match. So in Quick Match, normally you have to go in and you have to win a bunch of games on the early templates before you unlock these strategic templates. The onboarding tab gives you a way to bypass that requirement. You can basically jump in here, jump directly into Quick Match, and play against someone. So if you're a brand new player and you are very interested in strategic play, and you are a smart person and you want to jump straight into a strategic template against an opponent, you can do that. You don't have to go through the rigmarole of winning on the early quick match templates anymore. So this is new in this update. You can now jump directly into medium or traditional, which is of course the old template that we call strategic 1v1, or the commander and bomb card template. Those are the 2 templates that you can do that on. And then finally, you have this 4th button, Invite a Friend to a Match. What this will do is this will create a 1v1 game with the invite via code system enabled. So it will give you a 4-digit code that you can then give to your friend, and your friend can join it. And there's a guide to help you do that, which is where it will also show you this guide, which kind of plays a little animation showing you how to get into a game via code. And then this is also notable, like the quick match thing. This is specifically allows you to do this even if you don't have the permissions. Normally, creating a game on this template requires that you have unlocked all the features, like the blockade card and all that stuff. This lets you bypass all those permission requirements. You can create a game on this template even if you don't have all the features unlocked. So these are new features that can do things that you couldn't do before. Of course, if you already have the features unlocked, then it's nothing new to you. But if are a new player, hopefully that'll be a useful thing. This is basically the whole point of this is to address the concern of people have said, hey, I'm a new player, I'm a strategic player, I want to play Strategic Warzone, but I don't want to have to wade through the early templates anymore. So you don't have to do that anymore. Is there a way to view statistics about the game? For example, how many players were active this month? If there isn't, a chance you might make it publicly available one day. Yeah, I don't even track statistics like that myself, so it's not currently something we show publicly. No, not at the moment. You mentioned quick match. I've always wanted to know how relate is calculated and what it actually means. What relate? What's relate? How rating? Are you talking about the rating? Quick match rating? So quick match ratings, I'll assume you're talking about quick match ratings. So your rating, you can always go into your templates section and see your rating on every template. So every time you win or lose a template, your rating for that template goes up. There's also ratings for other categories like all FFA templates or all team templates or just all templates overall. There's also ratings for every country, and you have a rating for real-time and multi-day. So every time you win or lose a template, your ratings for each of these templates will go up or down. You can see that anytime you finish a quick match game. It will tell you in this window all your rating changes, like your multi-day rating increased, your rating for this template increased, your NV1 rating increased, your global rating increased. So you have ratings for all those things. The way I generally interpret these numbers is somewhere around 500 is average. I think average is probably slightly below that, maybe 450, somewhere between 450 and 500 is average. So once you've played a sufficient number of games, you can go look at your rating and compare that to see how good you are. That's kind of what it is. But the main reason we have ratings is for matching. So when you get a quick match game, it tries to match you against someone with a similar rating. If we spot errors in idle maps, what should we do? Anyone interested in fixing them, i.e. the territories that shouldn't be connected yet show a connecting arrow, like to territories. So generally when you see an error in a map, what you should do is you should report it to the creator of that map. And you can do that one of two ways. You can go to the map page and you can mail them directly, or you can leave a review on the map. So I would say though, for idle maps, the maps that are chosen for idle, I take those a little more seriously. If you see an error in an idle map, you can report it to me directly. And sometimes I'll actually go in and I'll fix it just so that idle has a better experience. Now, I would be surprised if there were still any errors in idle maps. This has happened over time, and people who play idle have told me about problems and I fixed them. I'd be surprised if there still were any, because most of the idle maps are pretty heavily crawled by people, and hopefully most of them are fixed. But if you do have one, feel free to report it to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but idle arenas already let you bypass that requirement. Yes, but not all templates are in idle arenas. So, yes. What's up? Not much. Everything just doing a stream. Guess that, but rates are so different that does not make much sense. I don't know what you mean by it makes much sense. It makes sense to me. If you could explain what doesn't make sense, I might be able to help you. Is it possible to make local deployment work with mega bonuses? So I think what you're talking about there is local deployment on overlapping bonuses. I know it's something we've talked about in previous streams, but right now, local deployment doesn't work if two bonuses overlap, as if they share the same territory. And the reason for that, I'll just go over it real fast because I've talked about it extensively before. But the reason for that is when you click to deploy an army and you control multiple bonuses that territory is on, Warzone needs to know which bonus you're trying to deploy to. And there are some cases where it might be obvious, and there are other cases where it's really hard to tell. And I tried to make it work when I first implemented local deployment, and unfortunately I couldn't quite make it work in a way that was reliable, so I just took it out. It is probably possible to fix that feature, but and if you want that, feel free to put it on the feature request forum. Let's talk about the feature request forum, the first time I mentioned it on every stream. And a lot of the features from today's update came directly from the feature request forum. This is a place where you can request features and you can vote on other people's features. There's a mod for that. Do you know the name by chance? I remember you were offering a lifelong membership a couple of years ago. It was a special offer, lasting a few days. Will it happen again? Yeah, so you can buy a lifetime membership on the membership page. It's a little bit hidden. It's this kind of link right down here to buy a lifetime membership. It does go on discount from time to time. I think it's sometime around Halloween, I think is when it goes on. And it's regularly scheduled, and I think it's like a third off. Hi, Fizzer. Can you add an option to purchase Idle Premium by coin? Right now, Idle Premium is a subscription, so it doesn't really make sense to do it by coins because then people would just run out of coins. So that's why it's not offered by coins. Currently, auto placement of armies is an option for the game creator. Is it possible in future for a player to select this even if not enabled by the game creator? I'm not sure what you mean by auto placement of armies. Are you talking about a mod or are you talking about autopilot? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about there. Maybe you can clarify. My pops showed me Risk when I was 8. Loved the game, but couldn't find anyone to play with. So when I found this game in 2015, I've been in love. Thank you for making this awesome game. Been 11-year player, 11-year fan and player. Awesome. Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you enjoy the game. I also grew up playing Risk with my brothers, and we got in some pretty long, epic games. So, yeah, thank you for kind words. Thanks for dropping by. Yes, a mod. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, which is there's some mods that are like client-side mods, and it makes sense that like people should just be able to enable them on their client whenever they want to, instead of requiring the game creator to do it. I understand that argument. It's just not currently the model that mods have right now. Maybe someday in the future we can have something like that, but currently at the moment it is not possible. Okay, So, quick map. Did we finish? I think we finished everything there is to say about the onboarding template. I'm excited about this strategic stuff. I think for strategic players will really appreciate this, being able to just jump straight into strategic games. So let's talk about idle autos dialog. So this is something that came directly from the feature request forum. People wanted the ability to toggle their idle auto advancements. So just to give background, in idle, some advancements are auto advancements, like auto conquer. When it's enabled, you can it will basically conquer territories for you automatically. It automates the game. And before, you had to scroll down this long list, and there was a checkbox right here where you could turn it on and off. And some of them were like way down the list, so every time you wanted to turn one on and off, you had to scroll way down the list. And some people didn't like that, so they requested a new feature. So now there's an auto buttons right here, and you can come in here and you can just turn them on and off this way. So I can just turn on auto conquer, and boom, it starts conquering things. So it's just an easier way to access those. I know a few people have mailed me already because they're used to it being in one place, and then they're like, wait a minute, it's gone. What the heck is going on? I did add this text right here that says can be enabled / disabled via the autos button above. But I know that text isn't super visible, so some people aren't noticing it. Some people are just like used to not reading the text here. So that definitely could have been done better, but I'm replying to everyone that emails me and telling them, go click the autos button. So that's all that is. I agree this is the best risk site. I have stopped playing all others. Yeah, me too. I'm glad you enjoy it. Is the location of the autos button final? I did move it based on your suggestion. So JK pointed out that previously the autos button was in between abort level and spent AP. And those are like buttons that are slightly dangerous. I mean, they both have a confirmation. If you click it, it's like, are you sure you want to do this? So it's not like a super big deal, but I moved it to the bottom so it's below level stats, so it should be not near the slightly dangerous ones. Have you ever considered allowing booted or inactive players in games to be replaced by other players from the public queue? Some long multi-day games simply die because some people aren't able to continue. So yeah, that is a feature people have requested before. I'm not entirely against the idea of it. It's just I have doubts that it would actually work. Because what I fear is that most of the time when people are booted, it's probably because they're in a bad position and they're just like, oh, this game is dumb. And then they rage quit. And then they only down to one territory or something like that. So I'm like, I don't see what the motivation is for someone to go to a list of games that have booted players and say, I want to join that game in that person's position. Like, I think if somebody's actually in a good position and they get booted, someone will join that right away. And then those will disappear very fast. And then you'll end up with this huge list of basically terrible positions that nobody wants, where they have one territory and one army, and opponents have thousands of armies. And like, you're just going to end up with this huge list of positions that nobody wants. And like, it's going to be a bad experience and nobody's going to want to join those games. And then I think people will stop visiting that page and stop joining existing games. Like, I just don't see it working. That's just been my experience with the way things are designed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are super excited to join games with bad positions. Or maybe we could do a thing where it expires after a day if nobody joins it or something like that. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. It just doesn't seem like a feature that would work to me. That's my opinion. What if peers suggested would be very beneficial to for idle, I do think that a trigger to deactivate all smelters and crafters at once. Do you think we do not currently have a button to deactivate them all at once? You have to click deactivate on each of them individually. If that's something you want, feel free to add it to the feature request form. Being able to gift a player of your choosing into a game. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but that is a thing. Okay, let's talk about the next new feature, which is advanced map processing. So this is actually the feature that took me the longest to add in this update. This was a big deal. And I think it's going to pay off in the long run. It's probably not something that's helping right now, but what this is so internally, when a map creator, let's talk about maps real fast. So when a map creator creates a map, and most of the maps in this game are created by the community. There are thousands of them, and they are amazing. Everyone should shout out your nearest map creator because they're awesome. But when map creators make a map, it goes through a bunch of internal processing, and that's true before, but now it goes through an additional processing, which what it does is it takes every territory and it looks at adjacent borders. So it's a very common thing in maps for territories to share adjacent borders. I can see these two territories share a border right here in the middle. This line that goes behind this 4 is a shared border between these two adjacent territories. So what the new advanced map processing does is it will take every territory on your map and it will identify all the shared borders. And then it will basically move them so they are perfectly aligned with each other. Now, some map creators don't need this because some map creators create their territories by taking a big territory and splitting it up so it's already perfectly aligned. But most map creators, I don't think, do that. Most map creators will benefit. So most maps will benefit from having the borders aligned. This also provides some other benefits to the map system. It will also look for overlapped territories. Let me open Inkscape real fast here. It will look for overlapped territories. So overlapping territories is something that you are actually not allowed to do. There is a page called Map Requirements. These are all the requirements you have to do in order to make a Warzone map. What is this? Let's see, new documents. Inkscape has changed their UI. I'm not used to it yet. But if you do create two territories that overlap, where's my little paint bucket tool? Like if I create a territory here, and that's not the right tool, but yeah, you get the idea. If I create two territories that overlap, they're not supposed to overlap. But if I do overlap two territories, then there's some problems that will happen in the Warzone engine because this area in the middle, if somebody clicks, it might select one, it might select the other. You're not entirely sure. What some people do that's really a problem is if they create two territories that completely overlap. Like this red one is entirely inside this blue one. I didn't mean to make it two blue ones. This red one is entirely inside. Yeah. This red one is entirely inside this pink one. And that is a bigger problem because then the red one, in some circumstances, you won't be able to click the red one at all, which creates a broken map. And there are some maps that are even public that have this problem. I discovered them when working on this new system. So that is one of the things that this solves, because now if you completely overlap two territories, this new advanced map processing will detect that and it will basically reject the map. And the way that you'll see that work is if you create a completely overlapped territory and you try to put it into testing mode or public mode, it will reject your map. It will set it back to development mode, and it will send you a notification telling you which territories caused the problem so you can fix it. This is a much better solution than what we had previous to this update, because prior to this update, there was maps go through a manual review process, and if the map creator noticed the territories were overlapped, then he could have to manually kick it out. If it wasn't noticed, then it could make it public, and it's honestly hard to notice them too because they don't always jump out at you. They're not always readily apparent that that's what was happening. So this is a much better solution. And then the other thing that happens with this advanced map processing is if you have a partially overlapped territory, like these two, what'll happen in this scenario, so this is not, you still shouldn't do this, but if you do accidentally do this, the new advanced map processing will basically shrink one down. So like it'll take the red one and it will make it look like, well, I'm not going to be able to draw it very efficiently. It'll basically make it look like that instead, right? So it'll shrink one of them down. You don't have control over which one gets shrunken down, which is probably fine because you shouldn't be overlapping anyway. Oh, and I should say, if you want to have a territory inside of a territory, the correct way to do that is you make a hole in the outer territory for the inner one to fit in. And then you still shouldn't overlap territories today, even though we have this advanced map processing, because this feature is not fully live yet. It will fix the problem for one version of the map, but it won't fix it for all the versions. So you still shouldn't do this, but this is progress towards a world where one day we won't have to worry about this anymore. One map in single player has a couple of territories that have zero connections with other territories. Would you approve some new maps with the same feature? No, the problem with that is then you can create a game that is stuck. Like if somebody's out there, then you basically can't get to them and you won't be able to eliminate them, and they could just never surrender and the game would be unfinishable. That's why that doesn't exist. It does exist for a specific single player level, and it's only for single players, so that won't happen in multiplayer. So let's talk about this. So when Warzone makes, when this advanced mock processing happens, so this is not, if you want to see it, there's basically this new page down here, which is linked down here in this link at the bottom, called the Change Experimental Settings. You can come in here and you can check this box to turn on the advanced 3D mode. And if you do that, then you will actually see the partially overlapped territories shrink. Unless you check this box, you won't see it. That's why I say that if you're a map creator, you still shouldn't overlap territories, because only the people who check this box will actually get the overlap protection, which right now is pretty much no one, because most people aren't going to this page. It's an experimental feature, but at some point in the future, this will become the default and everyone will just have this. So the map moderators are now replaced by this system? No, because there's still other things the map moderators check. Like this system can't detect if you connect territories improperly, like if you miss connections, or if you don't have lines on the board showing where the connections are. So this only alleviates one thing that the map moderators checked. How about making it default to shrinking the bigger one? That seems more reasonable than just picking one at random. So I use a bunch of tools for this. I didn't write these myself, so I am at the mercy of how these tools implement this. I use these tools that are designed for maps specifically. And if it auto-fixes the territories, does it update the map center points? No, it will not. So that is still something that you have to do if you were the map creators. You have to set appropriate center points. Okay, and then a couple other things happen with these. So a lot of this map format, the goal of this is to make maps that are faster. So there are better optimizations. So having shared edges, because maps share edges perfectly, means that Warzone is now aware of where those edges are. And there's a few things it can do that it couldn't do before. So let me open a random map here. Let me actually open this map twice. Let me duplicate tab. Also, I mentioned that checkbox is a way to turn on the new advanced vision. You can also add this little thing to your query string. If you add advanced vision equals true or equals false, it will turn on basically that mode. So this is the same map in two different modes. This is the old mode, and then this is the new one. And I have this performance stuff up here, these yellow lines. Also, you can turn on this, you can see this yellow text up here in the top right corner. If you want to turn that on, you can go to App Settings and check this box that says Show Performance Statistics. This only works in 3D mode, but if you are in this, if you're on the website, excuse me, if you're on the website and have 3D mode enabled, or if you're just in the Unity app, you can check this box and you will get a bunch of performance statistics in the top right corner. One of the things you see up here is tries, T-R-I-S, which is short for triangles. What this is this is showing you how many triangles are being rendered on your screen. Also, to back up, if everything in 3D mode is also all rendered in a series of triangles, if you don't know that, if you are new to computer stuff, GPUs, your graphics card in your computer, renders triangles. That is the only thing it does, is it renders triangles. So by reducing the number of triangles in the scene, you're basically increasing performance. And that is one of the goals of this advanced map processing. You can see this map right now is rendered using 28,000 triangles, and the old version of it is rendered using 50,000 triangles. So almost double, or almost half as many triangles to render this map in the new format versus the old one. That is one of the goals, is faster performance. And there's a few ways that goal is achieved. And you can see if I zoom in the maps, they basically look identical. Like there's not going to be much difference between them. And it does that even though it has significantly fewer triangles. So that is one of the goals of this. So one of the ways that is improved is because there are shared edges on the territories. So 3D maps make these little borders on, it makes basically edges or sides to every territory. You You can see the little that's hanging off. Because edges are shared, we don't need to make edges on triangles that have shared borders. So let's see if I can show that off. Let me open debug mode here. Also, I've talked about this on previous streams. But if you type debug_baby and pass it a parameter of true, baby is short for Babylon, which is the engine this thing uses. You can enter a debug mode here where you can start manipulating things. So you can like click this button, click on a territory, and then you can like do things like move it. So let's take this territory and let's go, no, the other way, positive. No, where is it? What did I do? 0. What? -1. Okay, there we go. So I now have this territory that is up here. I can do things like, get rid of that. I can do things like rotate it. No, wrong one. I'm failing hard. Yeah, this territory, rotate it. There we go. So you can see it has sides. I'm trying to show this off. It's kind of hard to show. One thing, it doesn't have backs anymore. So you can see this territory does not have a side here on this edge. If I did the same experiment in this tab, which I won't do just to save time, if I did the same experiment in that tab, you would see it has sides on every side. Whereas right now, there's no sides right here. And there are sides here. So that is one of the things that's new in this advanced map formatting is it won't render the sides that are never visible. And so that's one of the ways it achieves fewer triangles. The other way is it doesn't have backs. You can see if I flip it to the other side, it's just invisible. In the old one, everything had a back, which was completely unnecessary because the back is never visible. So I'm like, get rid of that. It's another way we save triangles. Will the map maker get notified if their map gets changed by the system so they know to double check center point sizes connections working properly? The way they will know is they put their map into testing mode and then they'll look at it and then they'll see it. That's the only way. Love me some stats. Absolutely. Stats are great. So there's no sides where there's shared edges, where it borders another territory. We just don't put the sides on, and we don't put the sides on the back. That's a couple of the tricks that are used in this new advanced map processing. The other trick that's used is called level of detail. And the way this works is when you are zoomed way out, we use a low polygon version of the map, and then when you zoom in, we would just dynamically switch it to a higher polygon version of that territory, of every territory. And this is a trick that's very, very common in most 3D games. When you are a long ways away from a mountain, they use a very low polygon version of that mountain. When you walk right up to it in a game like Skyrim or something is what I'm thinking of. They switch to a higher polygon version of that texture. And you do that because when you're a long ways away, you can't see all the details. So Warzone now does that too. In 3D maps, it will use a low polygon version when you're zoomed out, higher polygon version when you're zoomed in. Another trick just to make things faster. Are you concerned about Fizzer making changes to the masterpiece that is Ugly Shapes? I don't know Ugly Shapes. Yeah, so these are, I think that's pretty much everything. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Yeah. Perf stats, by the way, I didn't mention it in this blog post because technically it was added in the previous update. It was actually added between updates. Oh, that doesn't work in debug mode. So it never was really on the blog, so that's something that a lot of people probably don't know about, the perf stats. It does look different in the Unity app versus the website. If you go to the Unity app, if you go turn that on, settings, show performance statistics, you can see you get a whole bunch of information like this. It looks different. It's just implemented different per platform. One is implemented in Unity, the other is implemented in Babylon.js. Okay, so that is the big features in this update. There's a whole bunch of small things. Some of these small things are kind of exciting too. I love the new version of the Auto Advancements and want to say thank you for this great game and all these improvements. You are welcome, and thank you for your kind words. I'm glad you enjoy the game, and I'm glad you enjoy the updates. What app version was the stats implemented in? So you can always go to warzone.com. Warzone.com. If you go to help changelog, and then click on full change log. This is the page I update when I do things. Some of these things are on the blog, like if there's a big update, this one was on the blog. And then the ones down here that are like 5.41.0.1, I don't usually announce these on the blog. So these are like usually little things that most people don't care about. If you ever want to see the full change log, you can come in here and you can see them. So you can see right here, 5.41.0.4 added performance stats option to the app settings. The reason I added this was really to test out the new advanced map processing. And I did add it ahead of time. Like this was added before the advanced map processing was done, because I had to hotfix the website to start making the maps, because it took like a week to convert every map to the new format. So I did that in the background before I told anyone I was doing it. And then I added the performance stats option before I told anyone I was doing that. So there you go, you can see. And you can also see all these other stealth updates that were done that I never talked about. It probably never made its way to mobile. Yes, because this update was web only. So you're right, it's not on mobile yet. It was on the web site like weeks ago. It will come to the mobile app in the next update, which should be coming out soon in the coming days. Is it true that Sir Winsink has ever voted to be Player of the Year? I do not know. Let's talk about all the other changes. So this was something that was on the feature request form. Visual separator to table rows. So if you go to a big game, yeah, we can open this game. If you go to a table like the statistics menu, there's a few changes to this screen. There are now little horizontal rows. This is something people asked for. Somebody asked for this on the feature request form. And they're like, oh, it's hard to read this stuff without any horizontal rows because this used to just blend in. So now there are horizontal rows between each line. Also, yourself is now highlighted in yellow, which makes it easier to find yourself even when you're like playing with the sorts and stuff. You can now easily find yourself. So that's new. This was another thing that was on the feature request forum, is the Clan Wars map page now shows how many territories remain. You could determine it yourself by counting, but now you don't have to count. Let's turn off this performance statistics thing so it doesn't look bad. Clan Wars. If you go to the Clan War map, it now says 194 territories remain. That's a little new thing right there. That was just something people were asking for, so I'm like, sure, let's do that. The Mega Strategy Pack now unlocks commanders. This was probably should have done that a long time ago, but I messed it. Mega Strategy Pack. I missed it. So the Mega Strategy Pack, the idea behind this is it unlocks all the strategic features that Warzone has to offer. Commanders used to be a membership feature, and then they were moved to be a non-membership feature. They were moved to be a normal feature. And I probably should have added them to the strategy pack when I did that. That was like years ago. Forgot. Didn't think about it till now. So I'm like, oh, should add that. So added that. Added new guides. Yeah. Added new guides. So the attack, I mentioned this earlier, attack only, transfer only, blockade card, emergency blockade card, order priority card, orderly card, invite via code, and join order games. These new guides are implemented. And as I mentioned earlier, in the next update, I expect to implement more guides. We're going to keep them implementing guides until all the guides are done. And then that will be a big weight off my shoulders, because having all this stuff clearly documented is probably one of the bigger like new player deficiencies that has existed in Warzone for a long time. And then just a bunch of bug fixes. Like, I don't need to go over all these unless there's one that people are interested in. I can talk about it in more detail. So we are going to be now answering questions from, so that's everything for the update. Now we're going to answer questions from this thread. These are questions that people have asked ahead of time. And then after we finish all of these, that'll probably be the end of the stream. So let's see, let's clean up my tabs a little bit here. Yeah, we don't need any of those. So let's get this docked. Okay. Why does invite via code auto join you into games? Basically to save you a click. So invite via code is, the idea behind that feature is you get a code and you give it to your friends and you're like, hey buddy, join my game. And then they enter the code, and then I basically assume if you did that, you're planning on joining the game. I realize some people, Risk being the last to start, before you can review the game settings. I realize some people use it slightly differently, which is they make an invite via code game and then they spam the link to people in the public rather than just being your friends. Like, if you're in the same room with someone and you're planning on joining a game with them, you're probably going to join it no matter what. That was my logic behind the invite via code system. If you're going to be using it for public, I would say you probably shouldn't use the invite via code system. You should instead make open seats and then share the link to your game. That's really how I intend it to be used. It's mostly used by newbies and map makers for their testing games, but then you ask them to join the link so you can review before joining. My friends direct me and invite me to their game. Yeah. I would advise you to use open games instead of invite via code if you aren't intending for it to be like with your friends. Your friends just direct invite you to game. Yeah, I mean, it's more for new players who... one of the useful things about invite via code is the person doesn't have to have an account yet. Like, if you're brand new to Warzone and you're like, hey, I just want to create a game with the 3 people I'm in a room with, you can just give them the code and they can join the game. Even create an account to join it. Whereas if they don't have an account yet, then they can't do it. They can't directly invite you. Okay, so how do you explain why there is no change to this unreleased map? Obviously, that will never be released. This will never be released. Okay, so this is an overlapping territories. It looks like this is 2 territories that partially overlap. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but the way this will work now, if you have partially overlapping territories, if you change this map into testing mode, what would happen is, and you enable the experimental map rendering mode, then you would see one of these territories would be shrunk down and not overlapping anymore. Now, you still shouldn't make this map public because most people don't have the experimental map rendering mode yet, but one day in the future, that won't be an issue anymore. Is it diabolical to have open questions during clan wars? No, I don't think so. It is not a bad feature to have. It doesn't bother anyone. It won't be useful always, but it will be useful sometimes. Sorry, I lost the thread. I don't know what we're talking about. Is there any plan to change other templates with strategic in the name? And why was that change made? So I talked about why that change was made. And I did change strategic 1v1 and strategic 2v2. I think those are the only 2 templates that I made that use those names. If it's made by somebody in the community, it is up to that member of the community to rename their own template. I won't be forcing anyone else to change the name of their template. I'm just going to change the ones that are owned by me. Does the new map format only apply to 3D mode, or will it have effect on 2D maps as well? So it is a 3D mode map format only, yes. 3D mode is the future, so it's what I focused on. A lot of these things could have been applied to 2D mode as well. I just decided not to because I think 2D maps are already performance enough. And also, one day everyone's going to be using 3D mode is what I believe to be true. So I am focusing on 3D mode. A while back, you did a poll to vote in new clan war templates. I think Grease and Volcano were added. I can't really remember. Was there a plan to do something like this again? Yeah, I am open to doing a clan war template vote about once every 5 seasons would be the maximum. I would be willing to do it. And the way is, though, that is going to be initiated by the community. So someone needs to create a feature request on the feature request forum. And then members of the clan war community should vote it up. And then if it does get sufficient votes, I am willing to do it. And then we'll do it probably the exact same way we did it last time. And we can do that up to once every 5 seasons. I just need to know that it's in demand. So somebody needs to put their votes to it. Read this made me wonder if everyone that had a membership before Commanders became a standard feature got them grandfathered in. Yes, they did get them grandfathered in. And most people don't need them grandfathered in because it became a level unlock. So most people were already high enough level to get it. But yeah, there were some members that were low level, and so they needed the grandfather in feature. And yes, they did get it grandfathered in. Are Warzone idle battle levels auto-generated on the fly, or does it pull from a pool of pre-generated levels? If the latter, how large is the pool? I think there's it determines a random map. I think there's 4 maps? I'm sure somebody in the community knows. There's 4 or 5 maps. There's Copper Creek and whatever. Sorry, I have to cough every once in a while. And then it generates the level based on that, only on the map. I don't think there's much other variation. There's not a whole lot of variation in it. Is that an old, never to be released map that I made a few years ago to show people in the Map Makers Discord what overlapping look like? Yeah, that's fair. Since someone was new and was asking about it. Yeah. And I know you, all usernames, you emailed me because you were trying to test out the new overlap system, and I sent you back instructions on how to test it. I'm not sure if you ever finished your testing or how that went, but hopefully it's working for you. Is there a reason why you didn't call Strat V1 Modified Medium Earth Traditional, considering the map is actually MME and not MME? Yeah, I just think it's too much of a mouthful, and I don't think most people care about the difference between Medium Earth and Modified Medium Earth. Honestly, I don't think Modified Medium Earth is a good name. I'm the one who named it, so I take full responsibility for that. But I kind of regret naming it that, just because Modified doesn't convey anything about what it is. The way I modified it, and if you don't know what the difference is, the only difference is there's a few territories that are deleted. There were some bonuses that were just too big, so I deleted some territories in them. I think that's the only change, if I recall correctly. I might be misremembering that, but that's what the difference is between Modified Medium Earth and Medium Earth. The modified version is better for strategic games. I wish I'd used a different name. I don't know what the better name would have been. I'm not very good at naming things. Okay, I once named a feature Clot, C-O-O-T. That was probably one of the worst naming decisions I've ever made. I don't claim to be good at naming things. Foreshadowing. Although I do like the name of Medium Earth Traditional. I thought real hard about that. I'm trying to get better. Thank you for the update again. Now that some time has passed, how happy are you with the new guides, and what do new players think of them? So guides are still being rolled out. I don't think very many new players find guides. The only way you'd find them is by going to Help and Guides, which exists on the website and also has something similar in the mobile app. In the future, there's going to be more visibility for guides. I mentioned that I'm going to be writing more guides. Also, eventually, we want all of the little help links that exist in the game, like on... oops, I should have kept that open. Like when you go to the settings and there's all these little question mark buttons. Right now, these just link to the wiki. All of these are going to be replaced by guides. That will increase the visibility. Also, the onboarding template has these guide buttons here. These will increase visibility. So guides are going to become more and more integrated over time. Right now, they are not very well integrated. I'm also considering, and I don't know how exactly how this is going to manifest, but something I'm thinking about is like when you open a game for the first time, like a brand new multiplayer game, like a template you've never played before. Maybe it should pop up like the list of guides for that game. I don't know. Maybe if you're a new player, maybe if you're just seeing a feature you've never used before. I don't know. I don't know what the right way of doing that is, but guides are going to get more visible over time. Right now, they're not very visible, so I've not heard much feedback from new players on them. But they are a work in progress, and let's see. I'm going to do one last refresh. So that is the last question. Let me catch up in chat, and then that'll probably be the end of the stream. Since when some player tells me GG, easy, GG, should I take that as a sincere good game, or I take it as a troll? I think you should take it as a sincere good game, because that is adding more kindness to the world. Whenever somebody tells me, there's one guy I get matched in quick match with it sometimes. He accuses me of being lucky. He's like, you won because you're lucky. And I'll say, like, thank you. You're so nice. Complimenting my luck. Kill him with kindness. That's my advice. Be nice to everyone. Let's all add some kindness to the world. So will MME change its name to something like Medium Earth V2? I'm not currently planning on changing the name. I'm just not happy with it. The 3 hardest things in programming are 1, naming things. 2, counting to 3. Yo, sick game, by the way. Love it. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by. And thank you for your kind words. Oh, by the way, before you go, is there a good way for someone to try the API? Since trial membership doesn't appear to give access to APIs for some reason. That used to be true. That is no longer true. Trial membership now does work. I don't think I actually announced that. I think I forgot to put that in the blog post, but was changed fairly recently. I missed the stream, but I assume no news about the lawsuit. There is news about the lawsuit. So the judge has gotten back to us finally, and it is on again, and we have a trial date. And that trial date is March 17th. So we are about less than 2 months from trial. What lawsuit? I'll let other people answer that. We've talked about it plenty on stream, so I won't go into it right now on the tail end of this. But yeah, we're being sued by Activision. That's the short story. Is there a view on Wikipedia button when you click a territory in idle? Yeah, I believe so. Maybe not, actually. Maybe there should be. Let's see. Down here? Yeah, I guess there's not. I guess that's only in Classic. Sorry. Nice game. Like the site a lot. Feels good, man. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the game, and thank you for your kind words. Third thing. Before I create a new feature request, why can private tourney not have coin prizes? Honestly, the only reason is because I didn't think people would be interested in that. Coins were added like way back in 2017, and I didn't think there would be enough interest in private coin tournaments. I don't have anything against it. If you create a feature request and enough people vote for it, it could happen. Now I don't need to forward JSON files to players who want to try it out. Yes. They can just give them a level 99 requirement to join. Yes, you can do that. So that is a workaround. If you create a public tournament, put a prerequisite on that nobody will meet, then it basically is like a private tournament. I don't want to have every duplicated version of every template within an anti program. Thanks, Fizzer. Love the game. I'm glad you enjoy the game. Thank you for your kind words. We are almost at the end of the stream here. Hi, Fizzer. Sorry if someone already asked that, but what was your favorite Christmas present? Man, when you get up in ages, people stop giving you Christmas presents. I don't know. I don't get a lot of good Christmas presents anymore. I think I only got like 1 or 2 presents last Christmas. Nothing significant. I don't know. It's not really a thing. I guess because whenever somebody asks me what I want for Christmas, I'm like, I don't know. You don't need to get me anything. That's my normal reply. So maybe that's why people stopped giving me presents. Anyway, so we have gone over everything in the new update. We've gone over all the questions in the thread. I'll refresh it one last time in case somebody posted. Nobody posted. All right. So that is going to be the end of today's stream. After I answer, is it possible to make a freely resizable info panel? Info panel. You're talking about, you're talking about idle. I see. You're talking about, you want to be able to resize this up? Yeah, I can understand the desire for that. The only reason it's limited to where it is because it's kind of designed for mobile and then ported to the web, where the web, I understand you have bigger screens. Yeah, I have nothing against that as a feature. That's the kind of thing that if it got enough votes, I would consider doing it. But without enough votes, that's gonna have to wait. Give me your heart for Christmas so I can give it away. Sounds good. Thank you for the Prime subscription. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching the stream. So I'm going to end it here. I hope to see you in the next one. I hope you all have a great week, and thanks for joining me. And you guys are the best. See you later.